Hey guys, tonight we're driving the 2023 Volvo XC60 Recharge Ultimate, and this is the dark theme. So we've got a few aesthetic changes. I've spent all week with this car. We've done a ton of XC60 Recharge videos. So I'm just gonna go over some basics in this video. We'll take you out, show you what this looks like at night, headlight performance, interior lighting, all that stuff, and we'll give you guys an overview of what this car's been like to live with this week. So let's start on the outside. Starting price on this is about $57,000 for the Recharge Ultimate. About $7,000 more than the equivalent S60 Recharge that we drove a couple months ago. So you're paying a bit of a premium for that SUV shape and size. That said, this XC60 isn't necessarily a very large SUV for its class. Back seat can be a little bit cramped, especially if you have a rear-facing child seat, and interior volume isn't necessarily the largest compared to its competitors. Still though, it's a very usable and practical vehicle. Just note that if you're fitting a lot of family, kids, and stuff in this, you might want to swing for the XC90. Tons of performance here. A combined 455 horsepower, 523 pound-feet of torque from a 2-liter turbocharged direct injection engine and 143 horsepower electric motor. It says an 18.8 kilowatt hour high voltage extended range battery. This XC60 is optioned with air suspension, so it's got 4-corner air suspension. That's an $1,800 option. It's got a few other options. We'll include those in the description. Climate package, Bowers & Wilkins, power operated tailgate. Total price on this is $74,690. Not cheap, but still quite a nice XC60 and a beautiful, beautiful spec, especially with these 20-inch diamond cut alloy wheels. Starting in the back here, nice low load floor. This is awesome. So easy to get stuff up into here. And we've got some spaces here to keep items in place. Volvo's pretty good about their rear trunk storage. Hooks here to put some grocery bags. That's nice. And underneath, we've got space for our charging cable, etc. We charge this very easily overnight. We get about 35 to 40 miles of electric driving range in this XC60. The S60 we had a couple months ago, that had over 40 miles of EV driving range. Here's your charge port right up front on the driver's side. This does come with a dual voltage 110/220 volt charger from Volvo, or you can just use your own charger in your garage. This will charge to full from empty in about 5 hours on 240. You can drive most trips in this XC60 in full electric. Barely have to ever fill this up unless if you're going on a longer journey. And if you do need to go on a longer trip, this has excellent fuel range. You can probably get between 450 to 550 miles out of a tank in this, at least, not counting all the trips you're going to be doing in fully electric mode. Really nice interior, great materials. This has rear heated seats, no rear climate control, but this is kind of small enough of a cabin that I'm not sure you necessarily need it. Interior lighting in this XC60 is super bright. Just a press of a touch button up there. You even slide for the sunroof. So I wouldn't mind a few more physical controls in this XC60, but ultimately everything is pretty simple and easy to use, and Volvo has made some improvements over the years. Let's hop up front and let's talk infotainment a little bit more. All right, so we have the new Android-based operating system here in these new Volvos. A really nice update, a bit more responsive, still a little bit buggy, but ultimately it seems to work pretty well. Wired CarPlay, Android Auto, no wireless system, unfortunately. There's our reverse camera. Not the best brightness or exposure at night. In really dark situations, even the taillights don't really light things up very well. But it works. Kind of a funky angle Would like them to integrate a 360 camera into this too, but again, Volvo just doesn't seem to know how to figure that out just yet. Little place here to put your phone. Plug that in nicely. CarPlay connects quickly and seamlessly. No issues with that this week. Got a few cup holders right here. And another little place here. I don't know where to put your key or something. Here's your start, engine, stop, switch, parking brake, auto hold. You can one pedal drive this XC60. Let's take it out on the road, see how it does. Incredibly light steering at low speeds. Very curious to see how this air suspension rides compared to a lot of the XC60s that we've been driving recently, which are Polestars on the Öhlins dampers. All right, so we're starting off in pure mode. I have set that to be my default drive mode when we start up the vehicle, just so that I'm pretty much driving this as an EV all the time. I actually haven't had to dip into gasoline power in this car except for one entrance ramp merge where I needed just a little bit extra power, but battery only or electric motor only power is very adequate in this car. It does turn into a rear-wheel drive car with that rear electric motor. And if you put it into B mode, you get really nice regen off throttle. You can one pedal drive this. Really good tuning for that one pedal driving system. Very smooth. And you can see very decent acceleration here just from that rear electric motor. But let's switch it into hybrid. We've already got a little bit of temperature in this engine. And you'll see once we dip past that oil indicator, a little oil drop, our gasoline engine will come on and we'll get all 455 horsepower. So a bit less of a focus on performance here in this XC60, but still very respectable handling, awesome power, and really nice driving dynamics. This air suspension is nice and comfortable. It can raise and lower depending on what drive mode you're in. This does have an off-road mode. You can gauge that at lower speeds. We get adaptive cruise control, pretty nice system. Easy to change following distance. And pilot assist, which you can now switch with the button on the steering wheel again. Volvo changed that. They updated it so that you can switch between pilot assist, lane centering, and adaptive cruise with just a press of a button. That's fantastic. And all of that's represented very nicely in our full color head-up display. I really, really like this system. You can quickly change 5-mile-an-hour increments, see everything that's going on. It's easy to disengage everything. Everything just turns off all at once. The blend between cruise control and regen braking isn't harsh or abrupt. It's super smooth. The powertrain tuning here from Volvo is just top-notch. As a driving experience, Volvo makes my favorite plug-in hybrids to drive. Look at this, full regen, didn't even have to press the brake pedal. I think this is one of those plug-in hybrids that you could feasibly drive and not really have to fill up, except for when you're doing longer journeys, which is pretty awesome. It has enough range to get you around to most of your trips. I know my commute is about 18 miles, and I can get there and back no problem on just electricity. Super neutral, even under a little bit of power. Brakes feel very natural. Nice initial bite. And of course that's assisted quite a bit by the Regen system. Let's put this just back into drive. We'll turn off B mode and see how this drives with a bit of coasting. One of my favorite things about these new Volvos is that they get Google Maps as the native navigation in the car, which is awesome. You almost don't need CarPlay. And that will integrate with the vehicle's powertrain and make decisions with its battery usage according to your route, which is really, really intelligent. As a daily driver, I really enjoy spending time in these plug-in hybrid Volvos. The powertrain tuning, the stop-start, the blending between electric power and gasoline engine power is just so smooth. Volvo's really figured it out here. Yes, you're paying a price premium, but I think you're probably getting the best driving plug-in hybrid on the market. If you want to save a little bit of money and you want a car that drives just as well, if not just a little bit better, I would swing for the S60. I know it's not as desirable of a package. Sedans are not as popular anymore, and this SUV body style is way more in style right now, but to be honest, the S60 feels like it has a bit more room in the back. It handles better, it's lower, it's more efficient, it gets more electric driving range, and you can save about $7,000 compared to this XC60. That said, you can't really go wrong with either option. Let's dip into this parking lot here. Let's see what this looks like in off-road mode. I'm very curious to see how high this air suspension gets. So we're raising up. Revs are staying high. We have a tachometer now. I assume this doesn't really go into electric driving mode and off-road mode because it needs that traction and that power sent to all four tires. Let's see what we look like here. Oh wow. A lot of lift from the suspension. Awesome. That's impressive. Really big difference from its standard ride height. That's got to be at least 2 or 3 inches higher. Just getting out of the car, you can feel it. A bunch of different drive modes here. Hybrid, power, constant all-wheel drive. You can set your battery usage to auto, hold, or charge while you're driving. You can set it to always start in pure electric mode, which is cool. Pilot assist, you can have that as your default for driving assistance whenever you engage that. Turn on a lane keeping aid, have roadside information on or off. You can adjust your steering feel and gauge creep forward when you let off the brake. So that just acts like a standard torque converter automatic, or you can one pedal drive it, which is how I've been driving this XC60 all week. Air suspension control for easy entry and exit, so it'll lower when you park for a bit better entry and exit, which is nice, and it's easier to load stuff or pick out stuff out of the back. Lots of apps here, but Volvo's kept this infotainment relatively simple, which I do appreciate. I wish we got some more physical controls for our driving settings, but ultimately I don't think most people are going to be messing with those too much. It is just really nice that we can choose pilot assist now from the steering wheel and not have to dip into the infotainment system. Overall, I've got to say I really, really enjoy these plug-in hybrid Volvos, and it's just kind of select your size. whatever you prefer, whatever body style, whatever you can afford with your budget in terms of trim. This ultimate trim with the new dark edition is actually pretty cool. It looks great, and inside is just a wonderful cabin. We've done so many Bowers and Wilkins sound system tests. I think we'll leave that one today, but yeah, pretty cool to experience these Volvos, and they all kind of drive about the same, which is a good thing because you know exactly what you're getting into. But ultimately, if I had to choose between a gasoline car, a plug-in hybrid, a full EV, I would probably go for one of these plug-in hybrid Volvos over just about everything else these days, just because as a practical proposition, as a daily driver, it's so usable, so nice to live with. And the performance is awesome, and the powertrains are just so good. Let's put us into pure mode for a little bit. I found that even in pure mode, on sole electric power, this is plenty of power just even to get you up to highway speeds. And if you need extra power, you can always push through the kickdown switch and the car will automatically go into hybrid mode. You're not locked into pure mode if you select pure mode. Probably not a great idea to be pushing your engine to redline on cold start, because that's basically what would happen in that situation. But if you're familiar with your drive route, your merging scenarios, if there's an emergency, you need that extra power, it's there for you. I'm not sure if Volvo has some type of oil warming system or something to kind of get the engine prepped from cold start, but when you start in pure mode, the engine doesn't kick on. It's full electric, which is great. You'll want to have maybe a bit of mechanical sympathy if you're going to be driving this in hybrid. Let it start up just a bit, run, get up to temperature. So here we are, full pure mode, accelerating onto the highway. No issues there with that level of power. For daily use, this is just fine. I've got to say, these updated, refreshed recharge models from Volvo are just, they're so good. They have the right amount of range, the right amount of power. Volvo's kind of gone through and made little improvements over the years, and they've achieved a pretty good formula. The only major complaints I would have is, one, they're expensive, and two, infotainment can use a little bit more refinement, work out some of the bugs, but ultimately, they're great cars. Believe this Volvo luxury crossover has 455 horsepower. That's pretty crazy. Coming down from speed there with only regenerative braking. even on this drive that we filmed in this video with some full throttle acceleration runs, driving in hybrid mode, driving in off-road mode with the engine running, idling, we've gotten 50 miles to the gallon. This week I was averaging about 300 or 400 miles to the gallon. Alright, that'll be it for this one. We'll walk you around this one more time, and that'll be a wrap. Thanks for watching our, I don't know, dozenth video on an XC60 plug-in hybrid. We filmed so many of these things I've lost track, but it's always an enjoyable experience. And I've always said that if I had to pick kind of one daily driver, this would be the top of the list if it were kind of in my budget. So anyway, that'll be it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care. And even after all of that, battery range of 30 miles left. Pretty awesome.